maximize the number of their kind that can be fed upon the public, and to thereby maximize their influence through campaign financing, due to which the legislative and executive branches are doing nothing about this tyranny against the public. Cameras on judges need to be there needs to be a camera on the witness and the judge from the direction of the jury, so that we can see the little, looks the judge will employ to influence these uninformed, powerless, cowardly lemming sheep. This to discourage such jury tampering. Tolerating a racketeering judiciary which exhibits malice toward any attorney, including insurance company attorneys, threatening exposure of attorney frauds, which the court thereby promotes to feed its kind upon the public's insurance companies, beyond malfeasance, is treason and tyranny. And therefore, your authority, as far as I'm concerned, you have forfeit. The law states that any officer of any court who conceals evidence shall forfeit his office. That the courts cannot be relied upon to enforce this, and will only aid and abet attorneys, or shall I say robed attorneys, conducting such tyranny against the public, is well documented here, and obviously the legislative and executive branches aren't going to do anything about it, so it's time the public did something about it. This is my introduction.
And short time later, there's a whole nother story in between there, but anyway, short time later, a couple weeks later, month later, whatever, calls up and he says, please come down. We come down, he says, I can no longer be your attorney. The case has been dismissed for lack of timely prosecution. There was a motion that I should have fought. I failed to, therefore I cannot represent you anymore, and I'm sorry, And we kind of like went, geez, what do we do from here? He says, well, what I would suggest, and I'm not your attorney and I'm not giving legal advice, but what I suggest you do would be to get an attorney from at least as far away as San Francisco, come back and sue the three of you, myself and your other two attorneys in this matter, for lack of timely prosecution. And we said, well, you got us money, we wouldn't want to sue you. He said, look, this case, had it been done right, was worth, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and you need to sue, and you're not going to hurt me. I've only had this case for a few weeks, and at least I got you something. So we said, well, what about LA? He says, look, if you get an attorney from closer than San Francisco, you might find attorneys that'll even take the case, but they are going to sell you out. Okay, I'm on University Avenue here, just west of Richmond Street. There's a bar, it's called the San Diego Bar Sports Club, San Diego Sports Club Bar, I guess it is. And it sort of sits back at the back of this little enclave, just west of Richmond Street on University Avenue. And anyways, I regularly came there for lunch, and one day I'm in there, and a bunch of group starts coming in. I've never seen them before, and last of this group walks in, and it's a lady, and she says, before I can get my free beer, free pitcher of beer, it's my duty as class valedictorian to inform the patrons here that this is the graduating class of Cal Western Law School, 1984. And I was sitting down at the table, and I said, well, my goal in life is to hire some honest out-of-state attorneys, buy a bomb-proof, probably bulletproof building, and specialize in suing you people for malpracticing against your own clients. And she said, well, maybe you'd like to address that to the class. Now, they had just come from the graduation at school. It was early afternoon. And I said, and they all sort of, Bob was, the owner, was handing out these pitchers of beer. Well, the deal he had made was, in order to get the party held at his place for his friends, he offered anybody who came from the class with his friends to his bar, they would get a free pitcher of beer. So he had bought these brand new huge pitchers and he's handing them out. Nobody had had a beer yet. And so anyways, she addresses the class and they turn around and someone from the class, I don't know, but I kind of assume it was one of Bob's three friends, says, well, what's your problem? I said, well, the problem isn't that some of you will malpractice against your own clients. The problem is that none of you will represent a citizen who's been malpracticed against by one of your kind. And they just kind of looked at each other and just cracked up laughing loud. And so they stopped and the guy says, well, what do you do? I said, well, I'm a plumber. He says, well, don't you cheat your customers? And I went, actually I don't, but I agree most plumbers, overstate prices, overestimate time, and generally screw their clients, And they said, well, why shouldn't we? And I said, well, try your licensed quasi-government agents and try, fiduciary responsibility. And they said, if you go into law school, and by the way, fiduciary responsibility basically says that when a person in business, real estate, or officers of the court, attorneys, have clients and then a conflict of interest comes up, A, you inform them, and B, the interest of the client comes first. So, they said, you had some law, you going to law school? I said, no, I took a real estate law class, so I know a little bit about what your ethics are supposed to be. And they just, they said, well, we have as much right to malpractice against our client, defraud our clients as anybody else. And I said, well, I can see I made a big mistake here. I thought some of you were crooks, assholes. I can see you're all assholes. And I'll tell you right now that you ever come into my, one of you ever conducts a fraud against me, and this is kind of where I lay down the gauntlet, which comes comes what this is all about. I said, I'll take you into your one-act playroom and personally kick your ass. And they just all cracked up laughing again. And I said, they stopped. I said, what's so funny? And the guy, one of them says, not in San Diego you won't. And I says, why not? He says, because no San Diego judge will find against any San Diego attorney for malpracticing against his own client. And I says, where the hell do you get that? And they said, who do you think our instructors are? And I said, well, what protection does the public have from attorneys malpracticing against their own clients then? And they said, let the buyer beware. Let the buyer beware. And I just went, kind of explains why this other attorney had said, you need to go at least as far away as San Francisco, probably because you might get some hippies attorneys with some sense of fiduciary responsibility and ethics. So that was my second big lesson in what they teach attorneys in law school. Now keep in mind, some of these are going to become attorneys. Some of them are going to become defense attorneys. Some of them are going to become the judges who then provide the protection that they were promised in law school. And I don't think they were promised it as in judges come in and say, I promise you I won't provide that for, I won't find against an attorney. I think what we're talking about is the law schools teaching the policies, practices, and procedures which are and continue to be, and which I have documented. So anyway, let the buyer beware.